Hey Dee, I love those sunset pictures you're posting on Instagram.
Me too, because I couldn't see the sunshine, the sunset, or the sunrise very well from our log cabin because of all the trees. So this is a totally different experience. Very pleasant.
And not in our show notes, but my younger sister loves your house. Blue and white, those are her colors. That's her color scheme
I love
inside.
the house too.
She loves it.
I'm very happy with this house. It's
Very
beautiful.
good. Well, changes always bring some surprises and some blessings along the way, don't
Yeah.
they?
And we should get this podcast started so that we have a few surprises and blessings in here.
There you go. Welcome to the Garden Angelist, where we chat about flowers, veggies, and all the best dirt. I'm Carol Michael from Indianapolis, Indiana, where I have a suburban garden measured in square feet. It's about a third of an acre.
And I'm Dee Nash from Guthrie, Oklahoma, where I still have a large garden out in the country.
We are garden angelists because we love gardening and we want you to love it too.
Yes, we do. And we aren't afraid to spill all of our gardening secrets, the good, the bad, and even the ugly. But let's move on to this week's episode. And by the way, my voice is funny because the eastern red cedars are blooming
Mm.
and they are just covered in pollen, and I am very allergic to it. So that's why my voice sounds like it does. So, garden updates.
Garden updates. Well, the first thing I want to say is, as you can see, the sun is shining and this is a south facing window and this is as good as I can get because there's a big window up there that I don't have any covering on. So apologies for the sun glare.
Yeah, it's
So,
okay as long as you don't turn your head.
yeah. So on Friday,
Uh-huh.
I went to the greenhouse and I bought flats of pansies and violas, and then I
Nice.
proceeded to get them all potted up for the spring.
Good for you.
Yes.
What else did you
And,
do?
well, not to make this a weather report, on Monday morning we woke up and there was snow on the ground.
Mm,
So that was interesting, but it was all gone by midday, late day.
good.
I found my rain gauge late on Tuesday, put that out. And so from Tuesday night or Tuesday late afternoon, and then also Wednesday, I poured out almost 5 inches of rain on this here garden. So it is sopping wet out there.
Yeah, that's a lot of rain. I didn't
That
do that.
is. Crocuses are going strong. Reticulated irises are having a lovely moment. Of course, I'm growing microgreens, and now it's like I'm going to get a little bit more serious about getting some seeds started around here. Tomatoes, peppers, in a couple weeks maybe, or in a week. I don't know. How about your garden? Gardens, I should say.
I have to. I moved some of the house plants from the old house to the new one because as I'm finding places for them, I'm moving them because it's a totally different layout. It still faces east and west, but it's exactly opposite of my other house because the front faces east in this house and the back faces west. And if you flip it, that's the other house. So
Ah,
I've had to kind of think about how I'm going to do things. And then I actually sold a few pots to a friend of mine who wanted, she kept following me around the house yesterday. She really came to buy some furniture because I had some furniture left.
uh-huh.
And she did. She and her husband bought some furniture. But then she followed me around the house going, don't you want to take all your pots? Don't you want to take this from your garden? Don't you want to take that? And I was like, Vicky, stop. So I said, no, I'm not going to take these blueberries. You should take these home. You should buy them because they're big, huge blue pots. And before people get all upset, I probably have 30 blue pots. I need about seven. And so I sold those to her and her husband because they love gardening and they figured out where they could put the blueberries and they were talking about putting them in the ground. And I said, no, don't put the blueberries in the ground because we can't get the soil acidic enough. You can get it acidic enough in the pots. And I explained how. And I said, they're just getting ready to bloom. And then he fell in love with my Therese, I can't say it today, Therese Bougenet rose, which I've had forever. And it's a rugosa rose.
Uh-huh.
I was like, yeah, this one has survived in the pot for 15 years, 20 years. I don't know. And I said, you are welcome to it. And then I gave her my Sticks on Fire euphorbia. I just gave it to her because it was huge. And I was like, I don't know where I'm going to put it. So here, take it. And let's see, what else did I do? That's about it for that. That's about all I did this week. Oh, Luz and I met again about the gardens. He was supposed to come yesterday and start spray painting where we want the edge. He didn't come, which is very typical of, of Luz. So
Anyway,
he'll be here tomorrow probably. Oh, and I garden coached two people this week,
nice.
and I have one or two next week. I'm really busy right now. And
Now,
working at the greenhouse, so I'm busy.
You have started or you're going to
No, I
start?
started at the end of the month. Thank God.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But we should tell our listeners local to the area that you live in, do not rush upon Dee and ask if you can buy this and that and the other. Do not.
No,
Do
this is
not.
a fluke. No,
Do not.
please. And no, we're not going to dig in my garden. I'll just say
No.
that up front. I'm not digging up plants for people in my garden. I did that for some people when I reduced the size of the garden and it was too hard. So you guys are just going to have to get over the fact that I moved. All right, let's play favorites.
So mine should be the violas and pansies. They're just getting established. So I'm going to go with the reticulated irises because they are looking phenomenal this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I love when they come up. And
I
I
do too.
mean, I say every year, I need to dig and divide these things. They are so thick in some
I just
areas.
don't grow that thick, but they are up and they're looking good. And that's Iris reticulata.
Yes. And
Little tiny ones.
yes, my Lady Beatrix Stanley in the back, which is the only one I know the name of anymore. So I was out there putting up the nip rain gauge and checking things out. There's another one blooming like 10 feet away, which I'm thinking, did she set seed and or did a squirrel
No,
move a bulb or
something
what?
moved
But
the bulb.
there's another one. So anyway,
Interesting. Well, in my case, it's probably my daffodils. They've been exceptional this year and they're just getting started good and they're looking really, really great.
it's
So
probably all that cold you had in the winter.
we didn't have hardly any cold.
I thought you did. Oh,
We
that
had
was me.
2 weeks of really bad cold. The rest of it was warm, 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 which was bad because it's been
Oh,
a rough year.
it
And in
was me that
fact, the
had the
turkey
cold.
vultures are back. So it makes me wonder. I don't know. But guys, don't go out and plant a bunch of stuff yet because the native trees have not leafed out yet. And that's a good.
Right.
The red bells
Well,
leafing out though.
here the sandhill cranes, you can hear them flying overhead, flying
Yeah,
back up to Michigan and Wisconsin. And so that's kind of cool.
that is
But
a cool
it's,
thing.
yeah, it got to 80 on Friday here.
It did here too. So the question of the week, you ask it, I'll answer it.
Why is my rose bush putting out all those crazy stems up near the top?
It's probably rose rosette disease, which is caused by rose rosette virus, which is caused by a microscopic wingless mite, but it blows on the wind. And so one of my clients reached out to me 2 weeks ago and she said, I just don't even know how to prune this rose. It is crazy. And I thought it was a Zephyrine Duron. So I thought, okay, it can be crazy because it kind of gets crazy. So I went in there with my clippers and I was going to show her how. And I took one look at it and I said, oh, I'm so sorry. It is sick. It is so sick. It is so sick that I want you to cover up all your other rose bushes when you take it down. So that's a tip for people. If you're going to have to take down a rose that has rose rosette, you might be able to keep it from taking over your garden. But when you take it down, you need to cover everybody else so that the mites don't get on them, and then cut everything up and throw it in the trash, preferably in a plastic bag. Do not burn it. Do not just put it in a brush pile because you'll be sorry you did.
So could you, if the rose was small enough, put like a black plastic trash bag over the top of it and
Uh,
then kind of cut it at the stem and just
yeah,
contain it that way?
yeah, you could totally do that. You could use a contractor's bag. Of course, this rose bush was 12 feet tall, two sides of a arbor. It was beautiful
Ah,
at one time. So then we talked about things to replace it. And I was like, I wrote a post on that one time, long time ago.
all right. Well, if you tell me where that post is, we can add it to the show notes.
I'll look and see. I think it's called Shrubs to Replace Roses or something. Who
I'll
knows?
look for it. All right. Insect of the week,
I'll ask or I'll tell you. Little brown ants. Go,
little
Carol.
brown ants. Do they show up at your house? Well, you don't know about your new house. They show up here every spring as soon as it starts to get warmed up. Usually in time for Easter. So my family like, oh, she lives in an ant infested house. So I get those taro ant killer bait traps, which have borax in them. They're sticky. So you want to make sure that you don't spill it out on the floor or the carpet.
Yeah, you really
They're
don't want.
pretty effective. I keep a supply on hand. I need to check my supply so that I can get them out as soon as I see an ant.
Right?
They're in the same little spots. There'll be some will get on this window, some in the one spot in the kitchen, the one window, the sunroom. Gosh, it sounds like I live in a nasty house,
No,
but
I get them at the old house, and I think they're the same thing we call sugar ants.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they just are looking for something to eat, and so they come in. They come in any crack in your window.
Yeah.
And I told you about like 3 insecticide guys have shown up at this house. The new-
3. Last week it was just 1.
Now we have 3. And I'm like, no, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yes, I need to talk to my husband. I need to talk to my husband. Anyway,
Yeah.
if you get the little brown ants, I think those taro baits work really, really well.
And they're natural. So
Yeah, and they're natural stuff. So anyway,
hey, you guys
that's
sprayed all over your house.
the little brown ants.
Okay.
Now, brown ants, do have a purpose out in the garden.
What is their purpose in the garden besides?
So there are some seeds, and the one that comes to mind is violets, but there was another one I was thinking of, but I can't think of it because I'm extemporaneously speaking here. Anyway, they are attracted to the sugar coating on the seed, and so they'll take the seed from the plant and they'll disperse it out into the garden,
They're
chewing
basically
off the sugar.
pollinators because they eat the sugar off of the seed.
Yeah, and
It's
so
not pollinators because they don't put pollen on it, but
there's a name for them, but I can't think what it is.
Okay, cool.
All right, I'll do a quote. We'll talk about flowers. Be still, sad heart, and cease repining. Behind the clouds is the sun still shining. Thy fate is the common fate of all. Into each life some rain must fall. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. We picked that one because we were both expecting a lot of rain last week, and we got a lot of
I
rain.
didn't get very much. I got very little because it went around me, but I got a little bit. There was a tornado and it killed 2 ladies.
I saw there was a tornado in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Brian Hall, y'all, was broadcasting, and I checked it out. I'm like, whoa. And I always look to see, is it in Oklahoma? But it seemed like it was towards Tulsa.
Yeah, it was up by Tulsa.
And is Tulsa north of you?
North and east.
Okay.
And people have asked me this question, which I'm going to do a video hopefully today where I answer this question. But one of them, they have a bunch of questions. One of them is, do you still live in Guthrie? Well, I never lived in Guthrie proper. I lived between Edmond and Guthrie. And yes, I still live in the same area. I just moved a mile over, like a mile east where there aren't any trees because they've been taken out. I mean, there's a few, just enough trees that look pretty good, but I don't have to deal with ticks. And so I'm just a mile over. I'm a mile closer to my grandbaby.
There you go. So our flower this week,
I'm very excited,
is our very favorite. And it wasn't always my very favorite, but I have fallen into the Pelargonium and scented geranium rabbit hole.
They're wonderful.
They're are.
Wonderful. And I'm so excited about this new place because I can stick them in partial shade underneath the covered porch. And it'll be great. It'll be perfect for geraniums. It will be absolutely perfect. They'll get enough sun, but not too much sun. It'll be filtered. Anyway, we love them. And scented geraniums fall into the Pelargonium family.
Yes, they do.
And when we say geraniums, and we're talking about them here, we're talking about the ones that are tropical. We aren't talking about true geraniums, which are perennial.
Right, right. And then there's so many types, like the zonal ones. That's the classic. And then there's ivy leaf, there's regals, there's angel types. There's something called Martha Washington's.
I've grown them all. Mm-hmm.
And I did buy a bunch last year, and I believe that I have successfully overwintered them in my garage under lights. And I keep thinking, when should they come out? Not for a while yet. It's
Not
too
for a
cold.
while. Not until, I mean, they're tropical, so I would wait until you have your last freeze. You
Right.
can bring them in and out if you want to, but I usually
work.
It is a lot of work, and I'm not doing it. One thing I wanted to say is we actually went through the regular geraniums and all the different types in another episode. I don't know if I can find it or not, but we went through it very extensively if people want to look for it. But now, scented geraniums specifically.
Yes. And before we get to the scented geranium specifically, let me say this. I only had one last year. I want to get a bunch more, even though I only almost killed the one I bought.
Okay.
And I believe that I almost killed it because I was overwatering it.
Yeah, they don't need a lot of water.
They do not need a lot of water. And so it has survived, and I'm going to attempt to revive it and probably buy more.
Cool.
Because that's what we do.
Okay. And I just have dozens, and I'm taking them with me to the house. They're all in the greenhouse right now. That was another thing. Vicky was like, are you not taking the greenhouse? Are you not going to have a greenhouse? What will you do without a greenhouse? I said, well, I'll just do without. I mean, it'll be okay.
It'll be all right.
I don't want to deal with the greenhouse anyway. I've done that, and it's a lot of work. Okay, scented geraniums specifically. They're grown for their aromatic foliage, and they come in all different varieties. and they're not really grown for their flowers, but some of them flower quite, I can't talk today, quite prettily. I mean, they have pretty little flowers. They're very pretty. And they look great in pots by themselves, or they look great in pots with other things. I've underplanted roses with them. I've done lots of different ones. And so they have tons of different scents from rose to lavender to lemon. You were listed peppermint, nutmeg, apple, coconut, chocolate, and even cola. Now, I've never smelled a cola one. I believe it exists. But one of my favorite geraniums is the nutmeg one.
Hmm. That sounds
It's
pretty.
very, very contained, very small compared to some of the big giant ones, and it has blue-green leaves. And it has little white flowers, kind of pinkish white. Very pretty.
So the question I have for your scented geraniums, what size pot are you growing those in?
It depends. I mean, sometimes I put them under stuff, but if they're grown by themselves, what size is that?
That looks like 8 inch.
10, 8 to 10 inch, maybe? Yeah.
Because, well, I think what I did is the one that I bought was a fairly small plant, and I think I put it in too big of a pot.
You did. And you know what? That's a tip. You should only put them in just slightly bigger than the pot they come out of, and then you just keep growing them up. So when they're
Exactly.
babies, I grow them into small pots. And then, like right now, I've got a whole bunch of big ones. They have a lot of dead foliage around the bottom because it's what they do. And I'm going to snip off all those and put the cuttings in the pots.
I'm going to take the one that survived finally in the garage, and I'm going to down pot it, I guess,
Yeah.
to a smaller pot,
Yeah.
which will leave me with another pot to fill with another bigger geranium. But all the others look pretty good. They're flowering out there like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They look pretty nice.
Okay.
So,
So people use them a lot for aromatherapy because when you
uh-huh.
buy them and crush the leaves, they make you happy. That was one of the things I loved about opening the garden is for them to see my geraniums because most people don't know that scented geraniums exist. They're exquisite.
Such a little tiny world they live in without scented
I know
geraniums. I've always known they existed. I just didn't have a bunch.
now you know why I like them so much. So they're popular in potpourri. They're popular in cooking, teas, and aromatherapy. People put them in sugar, put the leaves in sugar to make the sugar taste of them. They put them in ice cubes. They do all kinds of things with them. And they're all
Right.
different types of leaf shapes. You did all the hard research on this, but I grow a lot of them. The nutmeg one has little tiny leaves. I mean, they're the size of a dime. And then I have other ones that are this big, which is the size of a baseball. So they're all very different. Now you can do the growing tips.
Well, sun, and you had mentioned filtered shade or filtered light. So full sun to light shade, 4 to 6 hours of direct sun for the best flowering. Well drained, lean soil. They don't like a lot of fertilizer. They hate wet feet. I knew they hated wet feet.
Yeah. They're great for
You want the top.
terracotta.
Yeah. Pardon?
They're great for terracotta pots.
Yes, I have mine all in terracotta. You want to let the soil dry out between waterings about an inch down, which in the summertime, I think what my problem was, you'd go out there in the summertime and just water everything every day, and those were getting way too much water.
Yeah.
They can tolerate a little bit
Like
dryness.
growing them here in the summer is somewhat complicated because they do dry out really bad and they are unhappy. And I've just found that if I can give them a little shade, that helps. And I have a picture somewhere of a big shade cloth that I made for them one year because we were having 100-degree temperatures and that's not their
Right.
bailiwick.
That's not their jam.
It's not their jam.
So it says a balanced or low nitrogen fertilizer to encourage flowering, because if you have a high nitrogen fertilizer, you will get many more leaves and few flowers.
Which is
And
true of all flowering plants.
remind me to talk about that a little bit when we get to the vegetable part.
Silver dahlias,
They are not frost hardy.
daylilies.
They can go down to about 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is why mine are staying in the garage, because next week looks decent.
Yep.
The following week, there's a low temperature of 21 out there.
Yep.
Pansies and violas will be just fine. Everybody will like, oh, you planted too early. No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
And then cut back by about a third, pot them up and keep them in a bright spot indoors to overwinter them, which I did by putting them in my garage. And my garage, on the coldest days when we were down in negative territory, it got down to about 45.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how this garage is because it's much warmer than my other one.
It's probably insulated.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And also, the other one was insulated too. But Bill left the doors open half the time. So it was different back then. All right. So They root very easily from stem cuttings. I do tip cuttings and it's really easy. I do them in spring, usually when everything starts to grow again. I like them because they make kind of woody stems if you just keep growing them on the same plant, which is fine if you're turning it into a topiary. But I love that fresh look to my geraniums. So I go
Right.
ahead and
Right.
then okay, well, it says here to let them callus for an hour. I just stick them down in the compost. I don't do all that crap.
I do want to say that I collected some seed 2 years ago, and those little seedlings, there's two little seedlings I got out of sowing those. I winter sowed them last year,
Mhm.
and they look pretty good. Teresa Byington showed me a picture via Instagram, I think, or maybe she texted me that she grew some seeds that were guaranteed to flower first year, and she sowed them this winter. And I think she already had little flowers on them. It
Mhm.
was incredible. But anyway, I'm interested to see what my collected seeds turn out to be
Cool.
like.
Then, fun facts: a rose geranium is a common substitute for true rose oil, which we know comes from Turkey and Bulgaria and is extremely expensive. So, people use the rose geranium oil instead, or they just make a fake one. And then, Victorian era parlors often kept scented geraniums on windowsills. I can see that as natural air fresheners. And then you can eat some scented ones. I'd say a lot of them, but that's up to you. I'm not going to eat them. I just
I'm not going to eat them.
They're fuzzy. Their leaves are fuzzy. Not my thing. They're little hairs.
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
know if nutmeg has hairs, but the other ones definitely do. So you're excited to get more,
More scented geraniums.
and then I need to propagate mine and move them. And I don't think I'll do it this week. I don't think I'll have time. And also, I have a lot to do at the old house this week. So trying to get it
There
ready
you
to
go.
sell.
All right. Well, that is geraniums or pelargoniums and scented geraniums. We are all excited about them. I'm pleased that mine overwintered because they were not inexpensive to buy those plants. I bought them from Select Seeds. They've all done marvelously. And so,
Mm.
I just go to the greenhouse, and if she's got some that look interesting, I'll probably still buy them. But I'm just thrilled that mine all overwintered.
Locally in Oklahoma, one of the best places to buy them is Davison's greenhouse up on Memorial. He almost always has zonal ones. And then Southwoods in Tulsa almost always has the Martha Washington types, the zonals. I don't know if I've seen scented ones there or not. I've had to order mine. Ready for a quote?
Cool. Ready for a quote?
I have only to break into the tightness of a strawberry and I see summer. It's dust and lowering skies. Toni Morrison. I like that one. Good job.
Yeah. So there's two things I wanted to say before we dive into strawberries.
Yeah, we're ready.
Kind of vegetable related.
Well, you
First of all,
instead of strawberries, we can do strawberries next week. I don't care.
one of our listeners, Nancy, sent an email in reply to our newsletter last week, and she said, "Could I talk about microgreens more?" And I thought, "Oh, Dee will not like that."
I could care less. I'm
I
sit back. Let's hear it.
No. I sent her a link to a blog post that I wrote about growing microgreens, and so it's really a fall winter topic for the vegetable garden. So we'll pass on that. But I just want to shout out thanks to Nancy for sending that prompt. The other thing I wanted to talk about, we were talking about low nitrogen fertilizer, high nitrogen fertilizer.
Uh,
And I was talking to the mom of the greenhouse owner, and we were looking at their potato display, and they have sweet potatoes for sale, and they have all kinds of regular potatoes for sale.
did they have sweet potatoes or slips?
They have the potato. So they said, they were going to instruct people to sort of like layer it on halfway buried and let
Mhm.
sprouts grow, and then you can cut those. And she said,
Just-
why wouldn't they just go to the grocery store and buy one much cheaper than I have? And I said, two reasons.
Yeah,
One,
these
the ones at the grocery store could be coated with all kinds of nasty chemicals to keep them from sprouting.
could be.
And two, you're getting a name variety.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mom was talking about how she's tried to grow potatoes and she never gets very many potatoes. And she has giant grow bags and big tubs. And I said, are you fertilizing with the same fertilizer you're using in the greenhouse? It's got a lot of nitrogen. And she says,
Oops.
yeah. And I said, you need to back way off on the nitrogen for those potatoes
Mhm.
because that's just getting leaf growth. You need to get either water with regular water and just fertilize a tiny little bit. And she's like, no, don't make me grow potatoes again. I thought I was done because I never got any. And now I got to try again.
Well, and here's the thing about potatoes is they've got a lot of energy in the potato piece that you put in the ground. So they don't need much fertilizer at all.
No. And so she's like, well, okay, so this hose is connected to the well. That hose is connected to city water. This hose is connected to the fertilizer
Fertilizer.
supply. So I think she's going to use the well water, see how it went.
It'll work probably. She'll have potato.
So,
Don't
strawberries.
want to talk about strawberries? We've now talked about potatoes.
No, we're going to talk about strawberries. You have a customer that, or a client that wanted us to talk about
No, it's every
strawberries. Or you,
client. Every client wants to hear about. I mean, there's two things clients want to grow in the vegetable world: strawberries and tomatoes. Neither one is easy. Carry on, Carol.
okay, so
I hate
strawberries.
growing strawberries. Go ahead.
The first thing you have to decide is, do I want a June bearing strawberry, which will give you a heavy crop, and they call it June bearing because that's about the time you get the crop?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want a day neutral? And a day neutral will give you a nice crop in early June and also produce some sporadic fruit, I would say, through the rest of the season.
Smattering of berries.
A smattering of berries.
Yeah.
It's up to you. With the June bearing, you're likely to get a bigger berry.
If you're going to make jam, you need to do the June berry, and you can't.
That's right.
And it's not okay. This is why I hate them so much. Want to know why?
Why do you hate strawberries?
No, I don't
Growing
hate to eat
strawberries.
them. They're delicious because people ask me about them, and they're always so excited, and they want to make jam the first year. Can they do that, Carol?
No. So let me go on further. So you want to plant in narrow rows because they tend to fruit on the outside edges of a row. So narrow rows, don't plant like a 12 by 12 patch.
Nope.
Do like a 12-foot by 1-foot wide path.
Mm-hmm.
You want big, healthy plants. So the first year after you plant, you do need to cut off all those runners and just encourage plant growth, not
Of the
don't
mother
flower
plant.
of the mother plant. So then you have to decide in the wintertime, depending on your climate, should you cover them or not covering. To me, the covering is really about keeping them from heaving out of the soil. They're very shallow rooted. And some people will put straw under the plants in order to keep the berries up off the ground. That is, again, quite a bit of work.
Yeah.
It is a perennial crop. And so every once in a while, you want to maybe dig up your strawberry patch, replenish the soil, or actually move it to someplace else. I just tend to keep mine going where it's at and add some new soil around it. So the other thing is we are in March.
Yep.
Generally, strawberries are sold as bare rooted plants. If you're going to go mail order and get varieties, you're going to get bare rooted. Now is exactly the time to get them into the ground, or a little bit later, actually.
Yeah. You can put them in the ground here now. They're pretty
Yeah,
cold tolerant.
I
And we don't have
I would
cold
wait.
left. So
Yeah,
I
I'd wait
want you to
until
repeat that
April.
part about you have to cut off the runners because
Okay, you do have to cut off the runners because you want the plants to grow big and strong, and cut off those runners.
and you probably
I've
want to
never
cut
seen
off
it.
the fruit too, and nobody wants to do that.
Nobody wants to do that.
But
So you can also find them at the garden center as actual plants in the spring. Those are fine to plant. Again, cut off the runners.
Mhm.
The other thing that people say is the birds get to the berries before they do. I have never had a problem with sharing with the critters out there. I still have plenty to eat. I will say that a homegrown strawberry tastes so much better than
It
one
does.
bought at the store.
It does. And it's funny because I don't have trouble with the birds. I have trouble with turtles.
And then, well, some people then you'll see online, people say they take rocks and they paint them to look like strawberries and they put those around the patch. I do not have any idea if that dissuades the birds
I like
because they
the
peck at rocks.
eggs in the egg nest. I'm not sure
Yeah.
that works either. I mean, one time a snake ate one, but
And then you can cover with a net cloth if you want to, but I don't encourage that kind of netting. To me, it's just a way for birds and things to get tangled up.
yeah.
Nobody needs that. So I share and share alike. Now, the best way to get that homegrown strawberry taste
Uh,
is to find a nearby strawberry patch.
yeah.
And they're all over this area.
We don't have a lot of them, but we have a few.
You got to call in advance because, if they have a Saturday where everybody and their little kids are out there picking, it may be 3 or 4 days before they say we've got more strawberries to pick.
Right. Because this one up here, which is part of the sort of male blackberry deal, they run out of blackberries and strawberries all the time because people just pick them to death.
Right. And also ask that strawberry grower what have you sprayed on these strawberries? Because you don't want to be out there with little kids who are picking the berries and shoving them right in their mouth.
Yeah.
So find out what have they put on that because they need to be thoroughly washed if they are sprayed with insecticides of any kind.
Mm-hmm. There
That
you
is
go.
strawberries. I've never had the need to spray mine with anything, but I wouldn't anyway.
Later.
I
I
just
never,
like
they just start that disease ridden or anything else. Nothing's to
they
eat
get
them
some
either.
spots on the leaves, but nothing that
Nothing big. And the leaves are kind of, deer don't seem to want to eat them, so it's okay. All right, do the next quote, dear.
maybe this is why we read and why in moments of darkness we return to books to find words for what we already know. Alberto Manguel.
Okay, so on the bookshelf this week, I had picked out a book that looked intriguing to me on Amazon, and I'll say the name of it, but we're not going to link to it. It's called Container Rose Handbook. But you and I both separately became extremely suspicious of this book when it came to my house because it's independently published, but I think it's AI generated.
It is definitely AI generated because this guy has 184 titles to his credit
Yeah, good for.
published over the last 2 years.
Uh-huh.
It's AI generated. There are too many books. Here's the clues. It's an unknown author, which if you're, if you can Google an author and then if you don't find anything, it's usually fake or AI person. They've published way too many books in way too short of a time frame.
This one's really thin. It's only, you know,
And I understand I read a couple of reviews on some of the other books. They don't have any pictures. They're very bland.
this one has
So
pictures. He or the AI people put a few pictures in here, and actually they're color pictures, but
there's also no listing for it on like bookshop.org. The only place you find it is Amazon.
yeah, which is not does not say well for it. And here's the thing, all the pictures look like they're the ones that what's that called? Stock photos. It looks like it has stock photos, I mean, it doesn't have a bunch of typos, which is good, but it's really bland. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much AI generated. And so
Morning.
we're going to put the title and the author so people know this guy is not legit.
Yeah, no.
And I did a brief search for him and I found somebody in Indonesia, and I don't want to say that, somebody in Indonesia is flooding Amazon with 184 how-to grow books,
Could be.
but they've got every topic out there. How to grow daisies, how to
Boy,
grow
is.
this,
Mm-hmm.
it's just ridiculous.
So
And
we
so
decided not to really profile it, but we'll put it on there. So try to avoid those. I fell into a trap because it was about container rose growing, and I like to grow roses in containers. So I wanted to see if I could learn anything new. No.
there you go. Well, now we're going to link to Rose Chat podcast because I would bet you Teresa's got something out there related to growing roses in
Oh,
containers.
she has a whole episode on it last year that was great. And this week's episode is about David Austin roses. So it's a good week to go and
Okay, we'll link to that instead. And so
much
anyway,
nicer.
that's the bookshelf. Don't fall for those.
Don't do what Dee did. All right, Dee's quote: "Do not be angry with the rain. It simply does not know how to fall upwards." That's by Vladimir Nabokov. And
Can you see when I was picking out quotes, I was thinking about the rain?
you were, and I didn't get very much. I got a little bit. It kind of misted all day one day, but I didn't get the hard rain. Dirt. In Defense of the Gardener's Voice by Marianne Wilburn. First of all, Marianne Wilburn is a great writer. She's a great garden writer.
Yes.
And I think this is one of the best things she's written because I had a rant about that myself. I was on Instagram
You
one
did.
day.
So let me just say, Marianne says at the very beginning, this post is a culmination of growing concerns that voices gentler and more knowledgeable than mine have articulated for some time, but that nevertheless continue to be ignored or reframed. The issue is complex and it deserves meaningful discussion. I hope we can have it. And it's about this idea that if you plant anything non-native, you are
Just a horrible person.
personally responsible for the downfall of civilization and the environment. And it's very discouraging to new gardeners who think, if I plant a daffodil, I'm
Yeah.
doing something wrong because
No.
daffodils definitely are not native here.
No, neither are
Or
tulips. Most bulbs are.
yeah, no. And now have some bulbs escaped cultivation and gone out into the wild?
Yeah,
in
but
places.
very few.
So anyway, she's got it. This is a very long article, and she actually put it on somebody else's Substack that's not so bad tempered gardener who's over there in England, Anne Warham. And so she put it she published it for Marianne. And I'm kind of looking at it here, but she talks about the intersection of like ecology and gardening and how, she talks about the before times. People kind of had open minds. They were not like just so
Yeah. I mean,
blatantly.
my thing was that so when I post something on Instagram, it immediately goes to Facebook. And it was on Facebook that I would get a barrage of comments from people that were like, you don't know what you're talking about. You should only plant natives. Why do you have shrubs in your yard that are not native? And I'm like, I have both, first of all. And so I had a little moment and I ranted about it, which I don't rant very often. People were surprised. I mean, it's free information. And
Yes, there's another thing she wrote. I wanted to pull this out. She said, in terms of really getting after gardeners, she said, old Mrs. Taylor is easier to influence and probably content to do less gardening and more observing anyway. Her 35-year-old granddaughter, who loves birds and butterflies and never liked topiary, excited to be part of a good cause. Gardeners in general are anxious to do the right thing.
yeah, they want.
But what is the right thing? And she also points to big ag and says, poor Mrs. Taylor desired to grow an exquisite Wisteria floribunda or use a teaspoon of glyphosate to paint a resprouting stump because she couldn't afford the help to dig it. Instead, why don't they focus on the 200-gallon vats of glyphosate, dicamba, and 2,4-D killing everything on the farm next door?
Yeah, yeah. I've always said that agriculture outweighs anything gardeners do. It just does. There aren't enough of us. So there you go.
And anyway, I brought up daffodils because she quotes Benjamin Vaught,
Yeah.
who wrote, we need a deep, deep rethink, and daffodils, at least in the hort world, often become the flashpoint as we reckon with how hort is part of our privilege and how our identities are so wrapped up in it we feel we need to defend that privilege because we assume we're being personally attacked when larger systems are being critiqued. Huh?
Oh, Benjamin. We've known Benjamin for a long time. That's all I'm going to say.
I've never met him. I
Oh,
know of.
you've never met him? I've met him several times. And he's been a speaker at some of the native plant conferences I've gone to. I just think that there's a place for both. As long, but you
There
know
is.
what? I hate Bradford pears because they've escaped into the wilderness.
Right.
They're a huge
That's
problem. I hate Asian honeysuckle. It's a huge problem. But daffodils, they don't even produce seed. I mean, I mean, granted, pollinators don't really go to them, but who cares? You got to have
so
pretty.
Marianne ends with the gardener's voice matters. It celebrates the artist just as it champions the steward, and it deserves respect in a world that is increasingly artificial, anti-human, and littered with distractions. If we do not defend it, we will lose it, and we run a great risk of turning off gardeners who were once turned on. I entreat you to speak up with courage in your gardening circles. Your voice empowers others who do not know how to reclaim their own.
I mean, I definitely spoke up.
Yeah, and there are 38 comments on here. And I believe that Marianne was gone off the internet
On a
when this thing
trip.
got published.
Mhm.
And so, yeah. So even the comments, and we know some of the people that it commented, and
Is it quite the discussion back and forth?
it is. And Anne has done a good job of chiming in. And also, Marianne's podcasting partner, Leslie, has chimed in on a few things. So,
I bet Benjamin didn't he?
pardon?
Bet Benjamin chimed in.
I did not see anything from Benjamin on here, but we'll link to it and we want our listeners, to read it. And
Yeah, you should read it just because it's interesting. All right, let's do
it
the
is.
next
And
quote.
it frames the issue rather nicely from the other
Better than
side.
Dee did. Dee was like, you don't get to have irises. You don't get to have roses. You don't get to have bulbs. Most bulbs are not from the central part of the United States.
Nor geraniums, pelargoniums.
No, you don't get to have any of that. And if
Exactly.
you want to have just grasses and forbs, So be it.
And you won't get to have many of the vegetables that we grow.
Yeah, you only have a vegetable garden either because that's not native either.
Anyway, I'm going to do a quote and we're going to go into our rabbit
Okay,
holes. Because I have one to tell you about that I didn't write down. Adopt the pace of nature. Her secret is patience. Ralph Waldo Emerson. We do
I
need to
think
be
patience
patient in
is
the
very
spring.
important in gardening.
Exactly.
It's also important in learning Bulgarian.
Oh my
It is
goodness.
so hard. In fact, I studied some this morning because I was trying to say a particular word, which is a predicate to a verb. And the way it looks in Latin letters, it could be a bad word. And I was like, obviously not. I'm not, I'm scared to pronounce this one. I'm scared I'm going to say something bad. So I got some help. And then also, aside from that, I bought a new book that I heard about at a birthday brunch that I attended. And it's Theo of Golden. It's by a guy named Alan Levi. And I did not type this very well. I am looking forward to reading it. It's supposed to be one of the best books that has been written in a long, long time. So,
And I'm now of course looking it up. I am so susceptible
I
to
mean,
book suggestions.
everyone that had read the book, it was given as a
Uh-huh.
gift. And everyone was like, this is one of the best books I've ever read in my life. And I was like,
Really?
okay, I'm in. I don't know this book, but it won a ton of awards. So we'll see.
Theo of
Golden,
Golden.
because Golden
She
is a
typed.
place. That's as much.
Oh.
Mhm.
Oh. Well, it looks to be popular because it looks like the ebook came out, and I'll just place a hold on that real quick while our listeners are waiting. Carol's over here on her
Yeah, Carol
library
needs to be
website.
talking about her rabbit holes because nobody wants to hear me speak Bulgarian. So unless you
So the
do,
one
if you
rabbit,
want me to say a couple words, I can.
nope, 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 not especially if you think that they are.
No, there's nothing wrong with these words. It was just one word in particular.
So just to show how popular that book is,
Yeah, it's very popular.
I just put a hold on the ebook.
Yeah.
There are 60 copies. There are 638 holds on the ebook.
Yeah, I bought the paperback. Yeah.
There's 657 holds on 64 copies of the audio.
Yeah.
There are 354 holds on 34 copies of the paperback. Okay. Let me go back to our show notes.
Mm-hmm.
So I listened to the latest Mrs. Polyfax, number 3 in the series, the elusive Mrs. Polyfax.
Mm-hmm.
Starts off in her apartment with members of her garden club watching her night bloom and cirrus bloom.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's off to Bulgaria
No way.
with a hat full of hidden passports to Sofia, Bulgaria.
Yeah, Sofia
And
is the
then
capital.
she is all over Bulgaria. It is quite
Well, I guess
interesting.
I'll have to read it now.
And then she made a comment about she was not sure about this one word that looked like it was made of all consonants.
Well, it is. I mean, a lot of it does look like all consonants, but they aren't consonants. They're verbs. So, I mean,
And then I was looking for an easy lost lady of garden writing.
mhm.
And so I don't know why I picked this one. Edna F. McCormick. She was the botany teacher of my grandmother in high school, and we had my grandmother's botany assignment. Remember I talked about that a while back?
Yeah, I remember. It was,
So I thought, I wonder if Edna wrote anything and qualifies as a lost lady of garden writing.
yeah.
She wrote one article,
There she goes. Good job, lady.
Fungal Diseases of Apples,
You. Yeah.
before she got married and moved to Chicago and married somebody that was a big deal at Northwestern in mathematics. But
She
anyway,
had kids and she was busy, and
then yeah, never looked back. So I need to find a better one. But anyway,
that's okay.
I was almost going to text you and say, well, you need to read the third Mrs. Polyfax because she goes to Bulgaria. Bulgaria.
What do you,
I'm ready for the fourth
did
one.
we ever think that there'd be so much? I mean, it's a very tiny country. It's only the size of
It is. Well, and she's in Bulgaria, and the book was written, I'm going to say late 60s, early 70s. So they're under communist rule
Yeah,
at the time.
yeah. My friend knows
And so,
Russian. His sister knows English. It's very interesting
so
because she's younger.
it's very interesting. But anyway, so I'm going to have to come up with a latest a better lost lady of garden writing.
Okay, so a garden to visit is the garden at the Getty Center in Los Angeles. And you asked me what I remember. I just remember the spiral garden that you walk down that's on every TV show set in
Yes.
Los Angeles has the big walls. I I remember nothing else.
I remember going up on this rooftop garden and you could see like Los Angeles in the distance.
Hmm.
And I think it was kind of smoggy. And I have pictures, I think. And
I thought there were fires, but it could have.
yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't
It
know
was
what
kind of
was going
smoggy.
on, but there was like smoke in the distance or something. I do remember.
I've got some old laptops around here, and it's not really a rabbit hole. It's just I booted them back up and I'm copying any files, just copying straight over to a hard drive so that I have them.
Yeah,
So I bet I could find a picture from our visit
probably.
to the Getty.
I can't, but probably. And then you said,
And it was hot. We went
"Oh
inside the
my gosh, it
museum.
was so hot." That whole trip
We went
was
inside the museum
hot.
and guess what we saw?
Isn't this a Pasadena trip?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it was so hot. It was 108 degrees every day. So you said, didn't we see Van Gogh's, or Van Gogh, as they say, famous painting irises from 1889? Yes, yes, we did. It's pretty big.
I think I have a picture of that too. So I also remember it's a winding road to get to the
Yes,
parking
it's
garage
really,
at
and
the
now our bus had to back up in it too, and it was close. I remember all that. Mm,
yeah. So it's weird the things you remember, but
yeah.
it's worth a visit if you ever find yourself in
It
the
almost
area.
burned up in that one.
Yeah, I heard it almost
They
burned up with
did.
those fires. Yeah.
Yeah, those fires were bad.
They have
Malibu
yes.
and such fires. Okay, garden commissions. I am working in the garden and still pruning roses, and I will work on it on Wednesday. I'm also weeding the paths, and I am so grateful that those will be someone else's responsibilities. They can, as far as I'm concerned, they can do anything to those paths, or they can just tear the whole thing out. And people don't believe me.
I believe you.
You do. You listen,
I
talk
believe you.
about it for 3 years.
So I am not going to get too excited about rushing out to the garden to do a bunch of stuff. Cold weather is coming week after next week, not the week that this is published. So, but I hopefully hear from the landscaper fairly soon. He gives me some dates when he might come out and start working on tidying up the vegetable garden and putting the mulch down in those paths. Need to work on some houseplants that just still look yucky and get some stuff ready to sow some seeds. I might, towards the end of the week, I might pull the tarp off the junk on the patio and get that set up. And there's some containers under there that I could pot up with a few violas and pansies. So, yeah, starting to get going, but got to
Puttering.
take it nice and easy.
Puttering.
Puttering,
I look forward.
puttering in the
I
garden.
really do. Okay, so do you want to wrap this up, girl?
I do. Thank you for listening to The Garden Angelus. We publish every week on Wednesdays at 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Be sure and follow us on Apple Podcasts. That does help us get noticed by others.
Yeah, we didn't know that for a long time. If you subscribe to our Substack newsletter, you get a link to listen to the podcast a whole day early and links to podcasts we discuss. Plus, go over to YouTube and see us in person. Full episodes show up on Tuesdays. So if you can't wait until Wednesday, you now have 2 ways to get episodes on Tuesdays.
And if you want to help support us, use our affiliate links. If you buy something after clicking through on them, we earn a small commission. It costs you nothing.
Or you can set up a monthly subscription through Buzzsprout or make a one-time donation through PayPal. You also have the option of pledging your support on Substack.
Thank you to everyone who has done so. It helps us pay for podcast hosting.
It was lovely to chat with all of you over the garden gate. Bye until next week.
Bye, everybody.